Hello, everybody. This is Mark Sage, Executive Director of the Area AI for Enterprise Alliance, and welcome to our latest webinar. Really excited to be here today with a number of experts who are actually deploying XR in the industrial shop floor. What I'd like to do is do a quick introduction about the area, but really it's important I hand it over to these experts who are going to talk you through the work that they've done and some of the amazing results that they've got. So just quickly, for the people who don't know, the Area, as you can read, is a global membership-funded non-profit alliance helping to accelerate the adoption of enterprise AR. And we do that in many different ways, including delivering thought leadership, which today is a really good example of that. One of the exciting things that's happened to the Area just recently is we've become part of the EDMA, the Enterprise Data Management Association, which is bringing together standards organization, OMG, Object Management Group, with the Digital Twin Consortium and the Area. So this really kind of extends our reach and allows us to get into kind of supporting and supplementary technologies, as well as driving the data and the standards piece as well. So you're going to see more information about the EDMA as we move forward. Just to touch on the Area, members are in 3 different segments. We have the enterprises who are deploying or looking to deploy AR solutions, including some of the biggest kind of brand names in the world. We have a bigger size in our software and hardware members, ranging from big platform guys like TeamViewer, but right the way down to startups. And on the hardware side, companies like Magic Leap, Xreal, but also some of the newer entrants into the market, like HMS and PNC Solutions and Raven Compute as well. And finally, we have non-commercial organizations, which are really a combination of government agencies, research institutes, standards organizations, all helping and coming together to kind of drive the AR ecosystem and helping each other to overcome those kind of barriers to adoption. So what do we do? I've mentioned the thought leadership bit, and today's an example of that, but it's really thinking about business leaders and understanding what they need to know. So we focus a lot on the different use cases, what problems can be solved. Additionally to that, case studies, actual examples of companies that deployed the technology, allowed today as well. The technology itself, but one of the most important things we find is around the ROI, return on investment. So we do a lot of work on delivering that through webinars, events, fireside chats, and the like. It's a great opportunity to network with people that are actually deploying or have deployed solutions, to really share those experiences, to learn from people, build those partnerships and insights. We see a massive skills gap in the enterprise AR space, so we're actively working to help the educational side, working with universities to help define courses, offering guest lecturing from our members, organizing outplacements, anything we can do to bring those next set of skilled workers. But really where most of the work goes on is about reducing barriers to adoption. We've continually use a phrase called pilot purgatory, where people have done a little bit of work. Yeah, often people like it, the companies like it, but we're not seeing that deployed. So a lot of our focus is looking at some of those barriers and working together to overcome them. So areas like security, safety, human factors, requirements. We also have a really strong research capability where we're asking the members what they'd like to research. We create research projects and deliver that to the members. And we're actually working on our 16th and 17th research projects at the moment. This is actually the 71st webinar, which is really exciting. So there's lots and lots of information, thought leadership, knowledge. So you can go to this Bright Talk channel. You can also look on the Area website at some of the older ones on the webinar place there. But also, we've just recently done one a couple of days, or about a week ago, we did a really interesting one on kind of the latest in wearable devices. We've done some stuff on network, 5G, and all sorts of different things. And today's webinar is going to be a really good addition to the thought leadership and knowledge there. But also, please check out our fireside chats. These are simple 3 questions, 5 to 15-minute video interviews, the kind of thing you can do when you're on your way to work or on the gym or wherever you are. It's really good to hear about the thought leaders, what they're doing and how they're helping the ecosystem. And you can find that again on the Area website. Anyway, enough about the Area. Let's get down to some really exciting and interesting work. I'm going to hand over to Dan now, who's going to take you through the rest of the webinar. Dan, thank you very much for helping us today. And
thanks, Mark.
And over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and appreciate the opportunity to do this. My name is Dan Quee, and I've been innovating in AR, XR since 2005 timeframe. Today, I spend a lot of my time helping companies who are looking to adopt AR, XR technologies, such as steel companies, or ODMs and other AR, XR vendors who are looking to get product or go-to-market strategies put in place. With me today, I have Fermin Goitia from Building Envelope Systems. Got that right. And then Randy Warnaar from Fabstation. So guys, why don't you give a quick introduction to each of yourself, and let's start with you, Fermin.
Sorry, Dan, just before we start, sorry, Fermin. I did forget, and I knew I would. Please, for people listening, add questions anytime, could be now. We'll take the questions at the end, but it is a really great opportunity to ask these three experts about the work that they're doing. So Dan will remind you again a little bit later on, but they're just under the where you're viewing. There's a great place just to ask questions, so please do that. Dan, Fermin, I'm so sorry. I'll now be quiet.
No worries. No problem. Go ahead, Fermin.
No problem. Yeah, my name is Fermin Goitia. I'm a Director of Operations at Building Envelope Systems. We're a structural steel and miscible metals fabricator in Massachusetts. We do, we're not a large fabricator, but we're about mid-size, anywhere from an average job of 100 to 400, 500 tons, and we are a user of Randolph's product. That's what we do.
Excellent. And I'm Randy Warnaar. Randolph is my Dutch name, I guess you could say. I am, the founder, CEO of Fabstation. So I got my start also in the steel fabrication industry. My father's got a company in Kelowna, BC, Canada. And I've been sort of involved in that business most of my life. And through some of the work that we've done there, I identified pretty early that there was a bit of a disconnect between all this great 3D model data that's used in the design process, and that's just kind of trapped in the office and doesn't really make it to the shop floor in a meaningful way. So that's where sort of the light bulb kind of came off, and the creation of Fabstation started, was trying to solve that disconnect.
Great, thank you. And just another housekeeping thing here. Mark, when I play the videos, is it going to go full screen, or what's it going to do to us here?
We can make you go full screen.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because right now we're just getting the quadrants here. So anyways, when I first met Randy, actually, I was working with a steel company, was up here in the Northeast as well, that was interested in bringing in AR, XR. And we helped them get started. But I wondered, Fermin, how did you actually get connected with AR and XR, and of course Randy? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, we had a large project in our shop that was coming in, and there was a significant risk exposure if things were not fabricated correctly because of the location of the job site, and the amount of equipment on the job site, and the amount of iron workers on the job site. And I was really stressed out about how we were going to make sure that these things were, that our product was correct when we went to the field. And, we do have QC, but it was a significant amount of risk. And I went online, and I was like, I kind of just Googled, additional QC measurements to ensure, product is good, and Fabstation popped up, and I called them right away, and within 2 days, I think I was up and running. That was that.
So I'm sure it was, I remember when I first brought in some of the headsets to Novel Ironworks, they were like, oh my God, this stuff exists. It's not make believe. They were thinking Iron Man type of movies, right? What happened to your place? What happened with your team when they first saw it?
They were shocked and amazed that, you know, when we told them, the shop, our shop team members, that we were going to be, this was coming into the shop. A lot of the guys didn't believe that this actually existed, even though I showed them the videos. They didn't believe that this is something that could be implemented. And like you said, like it's like Iron Man, like they put it on and it was just like a whole new world for them, right? It was literally an overlay of the actual product, right?
Yeah.
That was just there, right? And you could just see, you know, if something was off, it was just like, it was just so intuitive. You could just see right away, you know, if there was an issue.
So I would think that there's also a large age gap within your organization, right? And I mean, was there any preferences based on the different, you know, people trying it as to whether or not they were going to use it or not use it, or what?
Yeah, the older, our older team members were set in their ways, and it took a little bit more, one, getting used to the process, and two, buying into the fact that this isn't something that's going to replace them. It's just going to enhance and augment, you know, their ability to do their jobs better.
Yeah.
The younger guys, on the other hand, caught onto it right away, because obviously, you know, if anybody that uses, you know, Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it could be, you know, if they can use that, they can use this.
Yeah.
It's not a hard product to use.
Sure. And Randy, you actually came from the steel industry, and you ran into a lot of issues, or saw many of the issues that Fermin is talking about. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story? And I actually have a picture I can show of one of those items that you're probably going to speak about.
Yeah, thanks. There was a few projects that we had worked on, and I think a lot of steel fabricators out there have these challenging projects, which are what you could say architecturally unique and demanding. This one in particular is the Sparkling Hill Resort it's in Vernon, BC, and it's a unique resort made by the Swarovski crystal family. And as you can see here, it's got this giant crystal facade in the front that's supported by this pipe structure in the back. And anyone who's sort of done any kind of pipe fitting knows that trying to fit the parts in the right spot around the radius, in the right angles and all that is very challenging. You know, some of the drawings that were produced, the 2D drawings that were produced in order to sort of understand how to build this look like Egyptian hieroglyphics. You know, it was really tough to sort of unpack all of that information and try to build these little components. Not to mention there was a bunch of wires that had to clip to them, and they had to be within, you know, a millimeter or two of precision and accuracy. So we were literally building a piano there. Yeah, it took my father, a 50-year-old veteran, to come down to the shop floor and really help guide the operation. But it also, you know, it took us also a computer with the 3D model had to also be brought down just to even give it a little bit of context.
Yeah.
It was sort of the day and age when 3D modeling was just starting, so we were lucky to have that model to look at, and you know, we could kind of turn it around and see the different angles and see how everything related. That was kind of, to me, that was the moment where the light bulb kind of went off and thought, you know, why are we building these 3D objects with these really complex 2D drawings? There's got to be some way to bring these 3D models to life. Yeah.
So that was the epiphany, and so your product is called Fabstation, and I'll play a video up here of what it looks like, and maybe you can tell people what they're seeing.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here is an overlay of the actual 3D design over top of the physical material. It's a 1-to-1 scale. The accuracy we're able to get through the software is 1.5 millimeters or 1/16. So you're able to get within this sort of inspection level tolerance, and you're basically playing spot the difference, you know, between what you're seeing in the model and what you're seeing in the actual physical material. So some of the most common errors that are found are, missing parts, parts located on the wrong side, wrong orientation, common even measurement errors, out an inch, out a foot. These are common things when you're reading a tape measure. These are all very, very obvious when you start to see that sort of model, the model outline here, and then say the part here, and you can see this mismatch.
Yeah.
It almost hurts your eyes when you see that mismatch.
Yeah. So when you first went to produce this and put it out there in the marketplace, did people believe that this was going to do the job for them, or the skepticism that folks like Fermin might have over it? What was the initial take?
Well, the conversations I had on the phone were definitely like, yeah, this is great, but maybe we'll pass. We didn't really get any good traction until we actually went to our first trade show at FabTech in Chicago. And it was the moment when somebody could actually put the headset on their head and look at the actual result. We got a lot of like, oh, wow moments. And that's where I think it really clicks with people, just seeing that overlay and then it automatically is like, okay, yes, we need this.
Right. And so I can imagine when you get a new customer, you sign on a new customer, that especially in this industry, in the steel industry, there's a wide range of ages that are in there. What's the training like for you to go in there and help these companies get started?
You'd be surprised, actually. It's a wide range of people who become our major users. I have some folks in Australia that have been almost with us since day one, and the fellow that I actually went to Australia and helped them out over there, and I've gone back a bunch of times, and he's I think in his 60s, and he's using that all day long and just loves it. He's like one of our best product experts. So it's not really an age thing. It's more of a curiosity thing, a want to try and find a better way, and an openness to different types of solutions to do that, right? The software itself is easy enough to use for people to pick up.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing, the willingness of somebody to actually use it. I mean, years ago, I was involved with a warehouse. We were doing AR and in headsets, and we come out to the shop floor in the mornings, and all of a sudden you find a headset on the ground broken. And I was talking to the VP that was running it, and the young lady would say, "Oh, well, the people driving the forklifts really don't like wearing it, so they run them over." And so for me, I wondered, did you get any of that sort of reaction from any of your workers, that they were like, "I'm not going to put this on," or "I'm not going to wear it"?
Before we got the product, yes. Once we got the product and they actually put the product on their heads, no. The first time we ever used the product, we found an error on our first QC with
Wow.
it. So it validated
I'd pay
itself
for it.
right away, and our return on investment was instantaneous. So,
well, I'm gonna show a quick video of people going through training and getting used to HoloLens and how it operates, and I think everybody who's used the HoloLens will get a kick out of it.
Try further. Try putting your finger further in space. More in. Sure? No?
Yeah. So I have to say, Randy, I think your team did a great job training the folks, and the way it will work eventually, after we got done with the training, just so everybody can see how fast and smooth it goes once someone really knows how to use it, is evident in this video. I think we lost the video partway through. Let me replay it. And basically, what you're seeing here and what I experience is that the person, once they become comfortable, is just walking down, looking at the work that's being done and confirming that it was done correctly. Is that the way your guys view it at this point, Fermin?
Yeah, that's how we kind of exactly what you showed. That's how our guys do go through the process. And once you get the hang of it, it's not, it's a better process than the old process, right? So
yeah,
it's actually, in my opinion, it's actually quicker, right? And it's foolproof because once you get down and are methodical about the layout of the QR codes. I mean, of the cards on the piece, and orientate the piece correctly in the HoloLens. You can't make a mistake. You just can't. I mean, the detailer may have made a mistake and not giving you what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
Right. But if you're following exactly what the detailer gave you, there's no way you can make a mistake.
Yeah. So you're bringing up a good point, which is in your industry. A mistake costs millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can vary. So what's your honest opinion of where you see the tangible benefits? Not so much the ROI in terms of money yet, but where are the tangible benefits to you and your organization in using this? Which processes, what phases of the product development do you think this works best at?
What I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. What do you mean by?
Sorry. So in your workflow,
yeah.
Where do you see this product's fit, and where does it fit the best?
Well, so the way we have it, the way we use the product right now in our workflow is, material gets processed, it gets fit up by a fabricator. We use either the Apple tablet or the XR or the goggles for a QC at fit up, right? It goes from fit up to welding, and then once it's welded, we do another QC with it because it's pretty good. It really is within a 1/16 of an inch in like 40 feet. So if we have a heavy welded product, right, the heat can kind of warp the steel if people don't take their time and weld it correctly, right? So once it's done with welding, we put the goggles on again and ensure that we don't have brace bays or gussets or anything that could possibly not fit in the field.
Right.
So we use it twice in the process of fabricating a piece of steel. Once at fit up and once at weldment.
Right. And what about QC or final inspection?
We do our final QC of it at after weldment.
Okay, got it. All right. So you gave us the tangible benefits. Can you give us any ROI in terms of dollars that you saved or money or any sort of feel as to that?
Yeah, I mean, if I had
I don't want to put you on the spot, but on that one, but
yeah, I mean, I think I can just give you an example of the first job we ever did using this product. We had huge, like 6 foot by 4 foot brace bay gussets in a hole about 30 feet down in the ground, and if they were wrong, right, it would have been a fortune. The crane was like, I think it was like $22,000 a day because it was 120 feet up on a hill away from the job site, and the crew, if that was wrong, we would have had a crane and crew for a day, right? And not being able to do work, and we would have had to get it out of the hole, bring it back to our shop, and fix it, right?
Yeah.
And on day one, we caught the fact that the gusset was fabricated on the wrong side. So if I'm looking at a tangible benefit, when I tell you that return on investment was on day one, it's the truth, because we were able to catch that issue, right? And the the significant, and I don't think what maybe a lot of people realize is that taking the time to do it correctly and ensuring that we use the QC consistently saves a lot of time, not only in refabrication, but in the communications of talking about needing to get guys to the field, trucking to the job site, trucking back to the job site, all the other incidentals that happen when there's a fabrication issue go away, and we can just focus on what we should be doing, which is selling work and doing the work correctly, right? Instead of taking care of problems that we shouldn't have had in the first place. And if you use Fabstation and you use it consistently and you use it all the time, you're not going to have fabrication issues. You'll be able to, if somebody calls you from the field and says, "Oh, I have this issue," you can say, "No way. It's not my problem." Like, you can back it up, because if you fabricate per the goggles, it's going to be somebody else's issue and not yours.
So what would happen if you took away the system from your workers?
Well, we would have the opportunity to have more problems again.
Yeah.
Because and that's just, we're all human, right? And sometimes as humans, right, we don't want to, we sometimes say we let things go, or we don't do things that we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right. Or, we don't confirm a tape measurement like we should. And those things happen, not just to us, to everybody, it happens to everybody. But if you put the goggles on, the goggles aren't going to lie to you.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point too, because Randy, switching to technology a little bit, you came out of the steel industry, so you had to make sure that this was reliable and was going to work 100% of the time with no gaps in it. So talk about a little bit about the technology and the issues that you had. I mean, Fermin's already talked about 1/16 of an inch over 30 feet accuracy, right? HoloLens never produced that right out of the box. So what did you have to do?
Yeah, we were lucky, kind of not lucky, but we launched a company back in 2019. And of course, that was March of 2019, right in the beginning of this, whole COVID thing. So it kind of gave us an opportunity to really focus on the development of the product. And luckily, we have a steel shop ourselves. So it's something that, we could iterate on and work on and get perfect at our own shop. We did torture the workers there with some of our early iterations. They were probably not great. But as we sort of worked through the problems, we kind of realized a few things, that, steel itself is pretty featureless. Same with the background and the concrete floor. So we had to kind of iterate and come up with a few, few innovations to make it so that we could add some artificial features and create some artificial anchors to really improve the performance. So it's definitely not something that you'll get natively out of the HoloLens. There's a few secrets and a few tricks up our sleeves.
Yeah, and now that HoloLens is gone, it presents a little bit of a problem for you. What have you been doing in that regard?
Yeah, so it's a great question. We're definitely improving on our tablet offering. There's a lot of use cases, and a lot of folks use the iPad Pro as an alternate. We don't quite have the same accuracy with that device, but that's something that we're working on, just to introduce some object recognition and some other technologies there. We're also working with some other devices. We're moving to a strategy where we will become device agnostic. We tried to make it sort of an easy decision with the HoloLens, just like, here's the device for you, and let's go. But now, if you can see behind me, we've got the Apple Vision Pro that we're now going to port the app to. We're working with a couple of other OEMs on headsets that they're bringing to market. we'll be supporting those and having some pretty interesting solutions there as well. We're looking at the MetaQuest and some of these future headsets that are coming out. It looks like it's going to be quite a robust ecosystem as we look to the development of these smart glasses and all these technologies coming out.
Yeah. Are there anybody you want to name that you think is ahead of the game at this point, or not? Or
well, there is one logo that was on the area page there that seems to stand out. We've been working with HMS on a headset. They seem to be doing a really great job putting together a continuation of the HoloLens, let's say.
Yeah. So switch a little bit to probably the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is AI. Where do you see AI fitting into your work? And it's probably a question for both of you, how AI might improve what you're doing.
Well, for us, we are at the heart of what we're doing, a computer vision company. So we're looking at a lot of different technologies to basically solve the problems that these steel fabricators and other manufacturers have. So, we're seeing technologies like Gaussian splatting becoming a really important part of the ecosystem. Not only are we presenting the as-built, the design to the customer, we have the opportunity to capture an as-built 3D model as well. And because we have this sort of spatially aware system, we're building sort of the infrastructure around that to be a spatially aware manufacturing execution system. So we have eyes on the shop floor. So there's a lot of things that we can do to intuit what's going on, and then deliver some insights on how to improve processes as a result.
Yeah. How about you, Fermin?
Yeah, so kind of what he was saying was that, I can envision, obviously, hopefully maybe one day they're going to develop this, but at Fabstation is being able to actually go to the field and put a control point somewhere and, pre-steel, or just support our pre-steel erection meeting and go out to the job site and put these on and, take a look at, the anchor bolts and leveling plates and embeds and see, if everything's up to code before we even get there. That would be fantastic. That would be huge for fabricators that also are responsible for erection.
What about integration of the tool sets into your existing environment, into your information systems, your business systems? Where do you see that going? And that's probably a question for both of you as well.
Yeah, I know. So right now they're kind of integrated. Right now, you're working on rolling out, I believe, for Randy, for Tekla EPM. But if it were able to be, if there was some sort of systems or an API or something or other that fabricators were able to take it, grab information out of Fabstation and to our product. We all have different productivity tools that different fabricators have. So being able to pull that information out so that we could have that information instead of it just living in Fabstation would be really helpful. So it'll happen one day, I'm sure. It's just a matter of having the time to get it implemented, but it would be something that would be really useful.
Yeah, and to Fermin's point, integrations with some of our ecosystem software partners is definitely a priority for us. We've just actually completed our phase 2 of our Tekla PowerFab integration, which is an MRP or material resource planning software that that's pretty popular in the market. however, our sort of long-term goal is these integrations, making sure that there's no data silos for our customer and that this data is freely exchanging. But we're also looking to really understand production and be able to map and sort of have a more holistic view of what's going on the shop floor. Just kind of expanding on this spatially aware manufacturing execution system. We started out with these augmented reality tools, which, help you identify the error. Now we're building out a whole system where you can now report on that error. You can generate a non-conformance report. You can go interactively into the model and, mark something as failed, assign that rework to somebody else in the system, and have sort of live notifications so that they can, make sure that it gets fixed, and then have a gateway so that if there is something flagged, that it's not going to get forgotten about and pulled and put onto a truck. That's one of the big things that your inspector does all the hard work, finds something, and then someone's like, "Oh, this one looks ready," and chucks it on a truck and off it goes. So these are the big problems that we're trying to solve. But once we have a good collection of this rich data, it opens up a lot of very interesting things that we can do. We can start identifying patterns of, maybe particular users making particular mistakes, and start to kind of go back and find out, how do we solve these problems at the root? How do we eliminate some of these common errors? We can also find out things like, certain connections maybe take a little longer than what they were estimated. There's a lot of rich data that we can sort of work with and come up with some really great insights.
Yeah. I want to leave a little room for questions here, but one last question to you, Fermin. What advice would you give any fabricator looking to start using the tools based on your experience?
Got to give it a shot. If you don't give it a shot, you're not going to get any better. And if you don't, this is where it's going. Like there's, I think everybody's going to be using this type of product at some point, and the quality. I guess my suggestion would be give it a try, because if you don't give it a try, you're never going to believe it. But once you put the goggles on, you'll be like, this is it. This is what we should be doing, because your competitors are going to be doing it, and our quality is going to be better than your quality. Because, not to say that people are negligent, but we are humans and we do make mistakes, right? And there's a product out there that if you use it, right, and we still have challenges sometimes, even in our company, where we're not using it 100% of the time. But when we don't use it 100% of the time, we still have downfalls. We have errors, right? If you use it 100%, you're not going to have errors. So you got to give it a try.
Well, it sounds like the two of you have a great partnership, and it's good to see. It's good to see that it's working for the benefit of both of you. Yeah. So thank you for that. We do have one question that's posted in the forum here from DBIT Technology Consulting, and I think you guys touched on this a little bit. But for the applications you are seeing successful use cases, are you seeing these requiring network connectivity, linking back to end systems, or are you seeing these as standalone? Any thoughts on the relative percentages between networked and standalone?
I don't have an answer to that. We have a local server in here that we use. So
yeah, the product does require a Wi-Fi connection. We started out having the option for standalone, but there are some limitations, because with steel, you have thousands of assemblies that you're theoretically working on. And so you kind of need an on-demand system to be able to pull data that is relevant to what you're working on, because it's pretty difficult to store all data on-prem, like on device. you'll have gigs and gigs of data that you're trying to keep ready and prepared for any sort of pull request. So yeah, we do require a solid Wi-Fi connection for our software.
Okay. Mark, do you see any other questions? That's the only one that I see up on the board.
That's the only one we got at the moment. I did have one. We can't get away from the moment the question about AI, and we're certainly doing a lot of work in AR and AI and the combination of two. And I think, Randy, you kind of mentioned it without actually using the word. Do you talk a little bit maybe about some of your thoughts there and where the actual two technologies really work well together?
Yeah, I think as these multimodal systems are starting to develop, and sort of the eyes of AI are starting to develop, I think this is where the sort of intersection of AR and AI are becoming more and more interesting. I think it starts for us with the data that we're collecting, and getting the sort of AI to kind of give us some results and even allow customers to sort of query for their own sort of insights, rather than building a dashboard for every little particular use case or insight that they might want. Having that sort of AI native interface where they can kind of pull out some of that information themselves, I think is where we're heading with it. But even just having that computer vision component and having that sort of eyes on the shop floor can also, bring some interesting results via AI integration. I think through some of our work with this 3DGS, capture, I think that will be the starts of that sort of AI's, processing some of this data that's being captured, and then I think it'll kind of build on top of that.
Nice, thank you.
And I do want to say that, Randy, you will be out with me, actually, out at AWE too. So people that might be listening that are attending that will have the opportunity to meet you personally.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And I think we'll be able to meet the area folks there as well.
That's right.
Cool, Dan, I can't thank you enough for a fantastic kind of journey through this. The questions were awesome. The answers were even more awesome. So congratulations on the work. I think just the kind of benefits that you've been realizing, the work that you've done to make sure that both the workers and the stakeholders are bought into this, and ultimately the savings that you're making or potentially not having to pay for have been awesome. So thank you all three of you for the great work. Keep it going, and we're all about delivering kind of case studies and actual great examples. So thank you both, and maybe we can get you back on again sometime in the future as you start to develop the solution even further. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody for listening. Any questions or information, please feel free to contact me or the area, and I can pass it on to these gentlemen. But thank you very much for a fantastic webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.